Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ella Johnson Show. Listen, I am super excited. As you can tell, we have a full house tonight. Yes, the Black Panther Party is in the building, as you can tell, represented here. Well, listen, I am so excited for you guys who have been with us all week. It's a revival here on the Ella Johnson Show this week. Each night, we've been bringing true stories to you all. We couldn't let this week go by without bringing the Black Power movement into the party. You know how we do things here on the Ella Johnson Show. Listen, if you're watching from YouTube, please do me a favor and subscribe to my channel since you're already there. If you are watching from Facebook, thank you very much. If you're watching from LinkedIn, hello and thank you. And if you're watching from West Africa, yes, hello to all of my friends in Liberia at Esteem TV. So we're excited that all of you are here. Well, listen, I want everyone to participate. So share this broadcast right now so that when we come back, you will get to meet my guest and we can jump right in. But listen, true fact tonight. The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense was founded in October 1966 in Oakland, California, by Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale, who they met at Merritt College in Oakland. Now, this was a revolutionary organization with an ideology of Black nationalism, socialism, and an armed self-defense, particularly against police brutality. But as you know, the government became a little intimidated. President Hoover himself ordered the FBI to disrupt, dismantle, and discredit the Black Panther Party. Now, after many controversies, internal divisions, and targeted efforts by the FBI, the BPP dissolved in 1982. But that's all old news because the new Black Panther Party is here tonight on the Ella Johnson Show. You do not want to miss what's coming up next. We're going to talk about the state of America, but y'all need a history lesson also because we need to know, what does the Black Panther Party represent? Is this new Black Panther Party representative of the old? Well, all of that's coming up right here on the Ella Johnson Show. So listen, don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this quick break. It's time for the Ella Johnson Show. I'm so excited that you've taken time out to tune in to the Ella Johnson Show. I hope you enjoy the broadcast. So sit back, relax, and I'll see you at the end of the show. one day someone asked me, Ella, why do you do talk shows? Like, why is this so important to you? I said, because I want people to know that God does use us. Because sometimes things don't happen to you, they happen through you. And now it's time for the Ella Johnson Show, where we set the table for real talk conversations. So stay tuned. It's all coming up next. The Ella Johnson Show. And we are back. Listen, if you just tuned into the Ella Johnson Show, I'm so excited because whatever you were going to do tonight, it's not important. You can wait because this is where you need to be tonight. The new Black Panther Party is in the house, along with Paris Peterkin, Alex Fry. We have a lot to unpack because listen, a lot of people, no matter where you are in this country, you are somewhat dissatisfied with what's going on with the state of America. Well, we're going to unpack that. But before we do that, we're going to talk about, meet, understand, stand behind the new Black Panther Party. Guys, welcome all of you to the Ella Johnson. So are y'all excited? Yes?
Yeah,
Definitely.
I know.
absolutely.
I'm telling you. Listen, we practiced that part like for an hour, trying to get them to say yes. Listen, we all work and everybody has things to do, but this is such an important topic. And I'm so excited that you guys decided to come on to the Ella Johnson Show. And thank you, Jennifer, because she's the one that hooked us up. But this is very important. Now, tonight, my guests, when they are here and they want to comment, all they have to do is just put a comment there and I will bring it on the screen right here. So if you're watching the broadcast and you have questions for my guests, by all means, please let it rip right here. Comments, anything that you want to say, everything is welcomed here because we set the table for real talk conversations on the Ella Johnson Show. We tell both sides to the story. So are you guys excited? Let me let everybody know who is here with us tonight. Let me take this down. I know y'all think I'm trying to leave this up there because he said, hi, they're beautiful, but I was just forgetting. All right. So right here, sitting right next to me is Paris Peterkin. Paris has been on the broadcast before. We talk all the time. He's one of my favorite people in the entire world. He's a permanent fixture here on the Ella Johnson Show. Yes, you just found that out. But we are so excited. All of his thoughts and all of his comments are so welcome because this man is studied and he's very, very brilliant. But he is a thought leader, an activist, a tastemaker for change, and he could tell you what that is. And he is also the VP of Asalam Radio Live. Welcome to the Ella Johnson Show again, Mr.
Thank
Patty.
you very, very much, Ella. It's good to be here. And I've got to tell you that my excitement at joining this group of folks here is just, it knows no bounds whatsoever. I have been a longtime sympathizer of the Black Panther Party. And I've got to say that from the days when everyone was being maligned, if they even thought about it, back in the 60s, I can tell you that they spoke more for me than some of the other folks that I didn't understand the turn the other cheek kind of thing. So I definitely identified with the Black Panther Party and very excited to be here tonight.
Well, welcome, welcome. And then we have Alex Fry. He is the founder of CEO. It's the founder and CEO of Saint Blacks, which is a digital media company for Black content. Welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, Alex. Now we're gonna have to be able to hear you.
He on mute.
I think you're
on
muted.
mute. Are you on mute? While he's yeah, we can't hear you. I'm sorry. While he's getting that together, let's meet the Black Panther Party. Now, I'm not going to mess up their names because I will. God knows I will. I can practice all day, but the good Lord just didn't give me that kind of tongue. So I want each one of you to introduce yourselves to my guest and tell them a little bit about what it is that you do. And we're going to start with the National Chief of Staff, Yakanan Binya. Didn't I do
Well,
that?
well, you said that name correct. That wasn't a
I
problem.
did. I practiced that one.
And you wasn't one of them brothers that was gonna be getting spit on, huh? I see.
Yeah.
So my name is Yakanan Binya. I am the national chairman of the new. I mean, Lord have mercy. I just stepped down from a post, and I'm still saying it. I'm the national chief of staff for the new Black Panther Party. I live here in Houston, Texas. I've been a part of the organization for about 9 years. It'll be 10 years in February. My political consciousness was awakened when I first read Malcolm X's autobiography. After I read the Malcolm X autobiography, I realized there was a need for Black political consciousness in America. And I went out searching for an organization, the needs of descendants of Africans here in America, who didn't have a voice politically. And I started spitting poetry in the community. And the Black Panthers started recruiting me. And once they started recruiting me, we got on a phone call, and I told them I was looking for a political organization. One of the elders said, "You have the Democratic Party." He said, "You have the Republican Party, and you have the new Black Panther Party." And when he said it, boom, light went off. I understood exactly what was going on. I joined the organization, and here I am today. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Awesome. Then we're going to go down to Brother Watt. Want to meet you, the Chief of Staff.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for having us tonight, Sister Ella. We're excited to be here. I'm Brother Watt, the Chief of Staff of the new Black Panther Party here in Houston, Texas. Was under Chairman Yakanan, who has now been moved up into the National Chief of Staff level. So we're very proud of him and everything that he has going. And basically, for me, I've been around about 2.5 years now as a Panther. I have always been an activist all my life. I watched my daddy be an activist. So I grew up in the household of Black consciousness and knowing how we were treated in America and the things that happened to our people. So I always wanted to fight for my people. That was always something I had in my heart to do. So I also started looking around to see what group of people, like-minded people, conscious people that are like me, that want to fight for our people, want to take care of our people. And I found the Black Panther Party under Yakanan Benya, and we just kind of aligned on everything. Everything that they stood for, basically I stood for or worked my way up to stand for. So I am 100% dedicated to the Black Panther Party and everything that we stand for and what we do. And with the new Black Panther Party, we are moving in the right direction and forward in 2023. Once again, thank you for having us, Ella.
Awesome. Welcome. Welcome, Brother Watt. Then we have Sister Mott. Close.
Yes. Hi. How
Welcome,
you
beautiful,
doing?
to the show.
Well, thank you. How are you? Thanks for having me. I am Sister Ma'at, the Minister of Information with the New Black Panther Party. I just like talking to people, getting information out, helping our people. I'm not much of a talker, so I'm just glad to be on the show.
I'm just glad that you're here. Well, that's wonderful. All right, sweetheart, go ahead. We didn't get a chance to see you before, but I'm glad you're here now.
Hi, hello, everyone. My name is Sister Ashria. I am the secretary for the new Black Panther Party. I joined the party through Brother Yakanan when he was he's the local chairman, and when he was the national chair. Well, I was with him through many marches, and I joined when it was a year during the strife where I was just looking for something and this kind of aligned with how I felt and how I feel and how I want to help our people become more of a powerful group. So, again, like Sister Mine, I'm not much of a talker. I'm just, I'm more of an observer and a doer. So I like to be in the background. So thank you again for having us. Thank you, Ellen.
Listen, people in the background are just as important. Trust me. So welcome, and I'm happy that you're here as well. So guys, we're gonna jump in. I'm watching to see if Alex comes back, but I want people, because there's been this misconception about what the Black Panther Party is. So we're gonna just unpack. I want to bring out the 10-point program. I have some fun facts about Black Panther, but let's start with the basics. Why was the Black Panthers created? Where did that whole concept come from, and why did they come into existence? I want you, Yakanan, talk to us about that.
Well, it's actually Dr. Hewitt P. Newton was a political science major. So Dr. Hewitt P. Newton understood politics very well. He saw what was going on in the streets where he grew up, Oakland, and just seeing all the misfortune going on with our people. And they wanted to, have a way for us to be able to defend ourselves and just, getting tired and fed up, with the powers that be just oppressing our people in the neighborhoods, take dragging people off the jail, take removing the fathers from the seeing the degradation that it caused in the community, and the selflessness that it brought, the hopelessness, it brought to the community. People wanted a symbol, to be able to see somebody and stand up strong, and stick it to the man instead of, being slapped and spit on and, peace and turn the other cheek and kumbaya, my Lord. All of us don't feel like that. If somebody would spit on me, to this very day. So, there's a other side, of blackness that comes out. You have the Martin Luther King, which peace was even murder, and then, Malcolm X, by any means necessary. So whether you were on the side of peace, whether you were non-violent, willing to sit in, or whether you were willing to take up arms and patrol your own neighborhood, and, be self-sufficient and show your people a different side of it. So, different people fit into different categories. And, me, myself personally, I fit into that category. I liked what Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale stood for and the example that they set. And I began to understand politics at one point in time, and the consciousness of being politically conscious, what that would bring by us being able to make decisions for ourselves instead of people making decisions for us and us being able to govern ourselves.
Now, one thing I noticed, each one of you talked about Black consciousness. How important is that then? Was that then as it is now? Why is that so important? And what does that mean?
Want to answer what? Okay. To know who you are, where do you come from? What do you stand for? Why do we have European names? We're not European. We're not pale skin. Somebody coming from China, their name is not John, unless they're assimilating into America. We got white gods on our, when you come into consciousness, you begin to figure out that things around you are going on. The best way to be able to compare to be a lion, in a cage, a lion trapped in a cage of a certain view this animal. And, one thing that you realize is this is not the normal behavior of a lion. And so, a true lion, would behave in that manner. So when you've been in captivity in America, the only way a lion is going to behave in that manner if the lion has been in captivity. That's the only way you can get a lion to behave that way. So I began to realize that our behavior in America was based on what we were trained to do versus what we would do normally. So when our consciousness comes to us, we begin to realize that we were placed in this situation like crabs in a bucket. People say, well, why do crabs behave that way? Because they in a bucket. Well, then we come to realize that crabs don't belong in a bucket. And if they were in their natural habitat, they will remain a certain way. So we realize that the things that we see with Black America today, the things that are going on, is because we're not in our natural habitat. We don't have our true identities of ourselves, and so all of those forces that to keep us away from knowledge, because knowledge is power. We become these people who are basically self-hated because we see ourselves through the eyes of Europeans instead of seeing ourselves through the eyes of Africa. We are taught to hate Africa and look at Africa as a bad thing when it should be the exact opposite. We should be able to love Africa, love where we come from, love our heritage, our roots. A plant cannot grow without roots, and a tree could not grow without roots. Right now, today, none of us can truly even pinpoint on a map where we come from. When other people get ready to go back to their homelands, people go back to Mexico, they go back to China, they go back to Europe. The only place we know is America. And so Black consciousness is about figuring out who you are as a person, what your place is in the world, taking back your authority to be able to govern yourselves, and to also be able to make laws that will benefit you and your community instead of our captors making laws for us, like three strikes law, putting crack cocaine into the community, so on and so forth. So it's just about coming into the knowledge of who you are and taking over the authority and be able to make yourself in life.
So we may have those blacks, and I want this is for you, Brother Watt. We have those blacks who African Americans who may say, listen, I've never lived in Africa a day in my life. That's not where I'm from. I'm from right here, and I'm thinking about what's the movie Boys in the Hood? I'm from Crenshaw Mafia, right? You remember that part of the movie where he said that? That's where that came from. But in all seriousness, there are some of us that don't identify with Africa because we don't know anybody there. I don't have any family members there. All my family I knew came from Alabama. When did I become a part of Africa? Explain that dynamic, because I think that's the gray area and why we don't represent with Africa and we don't resonate with their issues being ours. So explain that a little bit more. How is it that me being from Alabama coincides with me having my roots in Africa?
Definitely. So all of our roots are all of us are rooted in Africa and an African diaspora. But as Yakanan had said, we're so confused with America and what we've been taught. And the things that we've been taught, even as a youngster in our history books, you don't learn about us in our history books. We get 1 month with 28 days to learn about us. And the only thing we learn about is Rosa Parks,
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King, things like that. We don't learn about the people in Africa and the spiritual background that we have from Africa and our ancestors. We don't learn that. So we have to take that up on ourselves to teach our children and teach our youth about who we are, the African diaspora, our roots of who we are, because right now in America, our people don't know. And what you don't know will have a disconnect, basically.
Right. And Pam, your daughter, just asked the question, Paris. She says, how could any person of color deny roots in Africa? You'd be surprised, Pam. A lot of people do. And I think it's just out of ignorance. I think that's what it is, just not knowing. So I appreciate you for bringing that. So let's go back and talk about the Black Panthers, because they obviously dismantled in like 1982. And then the new Black Panther Party came in 1989. Correct? Am I right on my dates? Okay.
Correct.
So some of the things that they did were incredible. And as I was reading about some of it, I thought, wow, they were doing things that the government should have been doing. And it seems to me that where a lot of this animosity came, you're all dressed in black. They were walking around with weapons. Could look a little intimidating, but during the day they were giving kids free food for breakfast. They were setting up social organizations, things that the government should have done. Do you think that that's one of the reasons that they labeled the Black Panther Party as terrorists? Like, where did all that come from that made them so intimidated and angry with the Black Panther Party that the president himself would order the FBI to discredit and dismantle them?
every every vision of a black man, a black woman, the black family is always viewed through the lens from America filtered as to being negative. You see it on the news every night. You're gonna see a black man guaranteed on the news. It's almost as if white people committing crimes. It's amazing. It's uh, when they don't when a crime does happen and they don't flash a picture up, we all know more than likely it was probably a white person. You know what I mean? And so, you know, visions are very important. Um, there was a rebellion getting ready to happen in Virginia at one time. Slaves getting ready to rebel, and one of the slaves went back and said something to one of their oppressors. Man, go back to mandatory manumission where you get gifts and trophies and stuff for, or get freedom or something for snitching. And they asked them, the rebellion was stopping. They asked them, where did you get this courage from to be able to do this? And they pointed at an emblem of the state symbol at that time, and it was actually a black man with his foot on the neck of a white person. And through that vision, this is what implored the people in order to gain up the courage that they could overcome. So if you let any light through the eyes of the African, it gives hope. So anytime there's hope being given out, in the community, if it's good, if it's positive, it's always frowned upon by the local police, the powers that be. You can be feeding somebody. We've seen it ourselves. We've been threatened because we were feeding people in our park. They threatened to be arrested, for doing good. So us doing good is terrorist. Us being politically conscious is fear to America because it gives us power. In order to enlighten our people, in order to have positivity, because positivity spreads. It's like a bandwagon. So it's like a brush fire when you begin to do things like that. And what you want to do is you want to deal with a brush fire. You don't deal with a fire. So these things have to be controlled whenever they're being done in the communities where good is being spread. If you're an activist and you're doing good, you mean well, you have a good heart, you're a domestic terrorist, you evil, you wicked, and you may say 100 things, but they may take one small clip that you say, then that'll be the entire story, and that's how you get it back. That's how the story goes. But the majority of us are good, hard-working, honest people, and we just love our people more than they love themselves. And America, unfortunately, has tainted that as evil.
Yes. I want to go back to because I think there are certain times in the Panther Party history that are very crucial for us to discuss and unwrap. Because one of them was, I think was it in Sacramento where the Black Panther Party showed up armed, and it was like in that state you could carry, but it became an issue when the Black Panther Party was armed. Brother Watt, unpack that for me and explain to me, briefly what happened there and why is that something that we should talk about today?
Well, definitely. So even in today's times, we're always looked at as the criminal or the person that's going to do wrong. I tell my family all the time, I can go somewhere and just have on a regular T-shirt, regular jeans, and still the white people will still clutch their purses and still lock their doors and grab their kids, and not knowing that I'm a great person with a great heart who will never do anything to anyone. But to see a black man with a gun or a black woman with a gun, a show of force, a show of power, things that they do on a regular basis, it's intimidating to them. The black man is already intimidating to them, just walking, just being who we are. We're intimidating to them. And it's actually sad that, as Yakanan was saying, that every time you turn on the news, it's us who has done something bad. It's us who has robbed somebody, as if nobody else in this country commits crimes. So,
I know.
You know, so with us showing up as a show of force for our people and showing up with our weapons, just as a show of force, it's an intimidation factor for them. Like he said, we've been on many marches where we show up, we'll have our weapons, and we're confronted by police, and we're confronted by these secret agents and things like that. But think about when the KKK march, they are surrounded and protected by the police.
Mm.
Have you ever thought about that? You ever see that when they are marching, they are protected? Just think about January 6th. Think about how when we marched on the Capitol, there was 2 million police officers, the U.S. Army and everything. But in January 6th, when they decided to go do it, they got in and did what they want. So it just shows how America looks at us, even when you're talking about back in Sacramento when they showed up as a show of force, just for us, for our people. It's always been intimidating for them to see us in that light. And that's
Didn't
why
they change
Mhm.
didn't they change the legislation just because of that? Didn't they say, okay, now you can't I thought that was crazy. I know you want to jump in, Paris. Go ahead. I could feel it.
Well, I just wanted to say that the thing that I find most fascinating is that you folks have the Black Panther Party has a grassroots appeal, because all that you mention is absolutely true, and we can see evidence of it in so many different ways. You talk about the way we're treated, the way we're regarded. How did we come to be this way? Well, down on the grassroots level, that's one thing. I mean, we can take a look at it internationally as well, globally as well, and we see that it's the same old song. It's the same old dance. I can say to you that back in the 60s, it was a new thing because we were trying out our wings at that time to find out how far could we go in terms of standing up, so to speak, because then they had not perfected some of the means that we find available today and being employed today. You want to take a look at something that's criminal, just take a look at Haiti and how that country has been absolutely uh, vilified and ruined simply because they dared to be the first country in the Caribbean, in essence, in this hemisphere, to break loose and be able to fight off the shackles of slavery and everything else. But where we are here, we are in America, so we have to look at grassroots groups like you have, and we have to cling to that. But we have to also understand that a great many people are afraid to do that because they're saying, you know what, I eat chicken on Sundays. I'm doing okay. I've got everything here. It's absolutely fine. I don't have to do anything else. I'm with you, and I'll send you $5, to show you that I'm with you guys. But don't come and wake me up from my barbecue over here, okay? And that's not the way. Sooner or later, we're going to all realize that you've got to put your pound of flesh in there. You've got to show your support. You've got to stand up. I mean, I say to you that I sincerely regret back in the early 60s just standing completely catatonic and paralyzed because I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to say anything because, well, God knows, if you do too much, heaven forbid that, you go to your job and they say, no, you're being a little too wild. You're being a little bit too antsy. You're being a little too radical. Gentlemen, I also went through the periods of wearing my army jacket and my dashiki and my hat and my glasses and getting on the subway in New York and having little old ladies and little old men run away from me. Okay, and I'm by myself. All I was a simple homeowner on his way home. That's all it was. But we understand what this is, and we need to wake up our people every way that we can and say to them, look, get involved. I don't care how you do it. Get involved. Find a way to do it. And find out who are the grassroots groups that are really doing it and touching all of the communities. Because there's much good work that you do, and we need to support you.
So Yakana, how do we do that? How do we support you?
Well, I'm gonna add to that real quick before we move on.
Okay.
You know, our people being asleep. It's so sad to see. A lot of us are like that until it happens to them. That's when they want to know where's the help at, where's everything at, what's going on, so on and so forth. And then you get that call, and you know, all of a sudden they want to join in, and so on and so forth. So to answer that question of how everybody could help, it is to just basically understand that we all belong in a political organization together. Our political ideology should be as one. I don't care if you are not consciously woke. When you listening to our voice, when we tell you we have a black political organization that we would like to see become a black political party added on to the ballot, you know, for for what we want. We have never received reparations in this country.
That is correct.
While we are seeing money being shipped off in Israel, like there is no tomorrow, but yet still we sitting here and suffering as a people, here in our own land. So the way that everybody could help us just by understanding politics. We're not asking everybody to get on the front line with a gun. You know, that's not what we're asking. Everybody is not soldiers. There are all kind of fronts, medical wise, food wise, lawyers, doctors. All these people were a part of the party in the 60s, and it was very attractive because it was so new. But because they went through what they went through of death and jail, it very undesirable to want to be a part of thinking that your end is gonna, meet that demise. But that's not what we shoot for at all whatsoever. Death and destruction did not work. Going head to head with the police, we're not in that situation where we can win that war. That's not what we're here for. We are here, to do things in a very intelligent manner, to bring the brightest of our minds together to talk about
Correct.
status, our economic status. What do we do financially to start to turn things around? So we need for everybody to come together as a collective and join the organization. Donate $10 a month of your time, $10 a month of your money. Let's start to build, and let's sit down as a people for the first time and have a real conversation about what we want to do with ourselves. We have to understand something. When we were let go from chattel slavery, we were not given a decision. We did not sit down and have a think tank about what we were going to do as a people. Martin Luther King said it himself, I've led my people into a burning house. If the house is burning, only a fool would turn around and go and walk back in the house and continue to try to live in the house while it's burning. And that's what we're doing. And we see that flare, with Mike Brown, when they set Ferguson on fire.
Yeah.
We see the flare, with Sandra Bland. We see these flags with Trayvon Martin. We see these atrocities happen over and over again. And it's sad to sit up and watch, but it's because we as a people are sitting back being, just acting off of what we see. We just being reactive. We're not sitting down when it's peace and quiet. Our enemies sit down when it's peace and quiet, and they make plans against us. But we are not making plans for our future because we are scared to govern ourselves and make plans for our own future about what we want to do as a people. Do we want to continue to live in America? Do we want to continue to live with Europeans next door in America? Do we want to get up and move? These are things that we have to come to decisions with about what, and we have to get serious about it.
We have a question here. One of our viewers says, what would you like white or Caucasians to do to support the Black Panther Party?
You can send cash app to NBPP, the number 4 defense. Money is green. We would not turn it down. Everybody knows what they have done, and we would love the support of all righteous Americans at the end of the day. Because people think that we hate white people. We do not hate anybody. We hate
exactly.
We hate who hate us. We are very loving people, and white America does not have to worry about us getting the upper hand.
Exactly.
And putting you in the slave, and doing all of these things, so on and so forth. That's not who we are as a people. And that is a concern of America. They never want us to be on level footing, but that's what they do. And let me repeat that one more time. NBPP4defense@gmail.com. Thank you.
And I just want to piggyback off of that, if you don't mind, Sister Ella. You can also, because I am connected with a lot of other groups out there. One I want to name is HAC. They go into the courtrooms. They march, they protest, they write bills. They do. We have lawyers that we work with that are Caucasian. So as Brother Yakanan said, we do not hate white people at all, and we are connected with some that help us. So you can go to the protests, you can go to the marches, you can write the bills and vote. You can do your part, and like you said, we'll also take the money to continue to help build for the Panther Party.
So for the viewer that just uh she said, please talk more about you not being a group of hate but peace. I'm so glad you said that, because that was actually exactly what I was going to go into, because I know that back in the day there was actually a white Black Panther Party. Is that correct?
Correct.
Something similar to that back in the day?
Yeah,
Are
there's
my
a
facts right?
party in India as well. They nationwide.
Yeah. So also it is true. I'm glad she brought that up, because the purpose of us having this show tonight was so that people can see the real deal about who the Black Panther Party is. They feed people, they help the oppressed. They were there to make sure that people were not mistreated by the police. They weren't there to cause havoc with the police, but just to make sure that our rights weren't violated. And so that's when, because I'm gonna confess, because I didn't understand the Black Panther Party, and I thought militant, angry, hold your breath when you're around them, until I started researching myself. Right? You know, I had this vision one day. I think I was here in Orlando one day, and one of my Caucasian friends, she was like, Ella, can you go with me? Because I'm scared. She was actually scared to go into a Black community because she was afraid. And I thought, wow, is that how we're seen? Is that, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because I wouldn't bust a grape, but it's like, it's just because of the color of my skin. It looks like, okay, we're dangerous. But anyway, yes, the Black Panther Party is about peace. They're just, like he said, like Yakanan said, we just don't like people that don't like us. So if people want to join, how do you know? Let's say I'm in Florida. Is there a national Black Panther Party chapter in Florida?
I don't believe there's one in Florida, but we can start one in Florida. If you got the heart and the mind for it, start
Paris,
it up.
there's your man right there.
Well,
I asked that question to him.
let's start putting that together, and we can definitely talk about that, because it's time to awaken people. It's kind of like the old saying that's accredited to the Bible and to other uh, uh, literature. I may not get there with you, but I can get it started. And it's time for us to look. You can't sit around and wait for change. Nothing's going to change if you don't change anything. Okay, you've got to change something. If you want a different result, you have to change something. And I think that it's fine. It's very exciting for me. I mean, I see all the things that are now happening with the Pan African movement in Africa, and the fact that now all of a sudden everyone understands that you can't sell your resources and just give them away for pennies, and they're getting smart, and everyone is beginning to band together. We need to be smart here as well. I mean, I see this all the time in terms of how much wealth there is in Black America, and yet we just don't do it. We want the bling, we want the this, we want the that. How about helping ourselves? What would happen if all Black people in this country banded together and decided that they were going to promote their own health care?
Mm-hmm.
And they're the ones who are going to they're the ones who are going to negotiate with the pharmaceutical companies for all of these pharmaceuticals, and they're the ones who are going to argue for the better price to help the community. What happens then? But you can't do it if you're a fraction group, and that's exactly what has happened. Divide and conquer. Okay, well, we've been divided enough. It's time to change that. The unity has to come.
Yeah, something else I was going to add to that. What happens when the NFL players decide not to sign contracts with their white owners?
What?
What
What?
happens when
Absolutely.
they decide not to sign contracts with the white owners and we take back ownership? we changed the dynamic of our financial situation overnight, and it was shaped the very core of America. We've had, to speak to the other point, we've been sitting around and we've had police officers walk up to us and ask us, well, why do you hate police officers? And I'm shocked. I'm like, how does he know I hate police officers? I mean, this man doesn't even know me, and this is the stigmatism of black.
Yeah.
This was a brother asking me this question. I would have, I would have died for the brother that day if anybody tried to harm him. And here he doesn't even realize even he's playing into the stigmatism. And we have to, back up away from that. And I answered the brother's question and said, how can you even ask that question, when you haven't spoken with us, you haven't talked to us, you haven't asked us how we feel about things. We don't feel like that, but they take a snippet from somebody that says something about police or somebody that was emotional after a state-sanctioned killing by the police, and they take those words and they send them out to the public. And the public has that view of us, and it's just placed on all of us. And I told the police officer, we don't hate police, but just like if I was to be sitting in the car and a friend of mine went in the store, stole something, murdered somebody, I would be charged with a crime because of law of parties. And so I just explained it to him just like that. If your law works for you like that and you would make me law of parties to somebody like that, I have to make you a law of parties because you wearing the badge as well. It works the same way. If you're gonna group me in, then I have to group you in with police brutality. So let's just be fair toward one another, and let's judge one another based on their individual actions in life.
So, what states can we find Black Panther parties? Which branches do you have right now? I know Texas, but where else?
Oh, it's a lot. Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, California, Las Vegas, Arizona, North Carolina, South Carolina. I can go on and on. Detroit, so forth. I wouldn't be able to name them all where we were at.
So if someone is watching this broadcast and feel inspired, they need to find out what's the closest chapter to them and join. And it is open to anybody, any race, color, creed. It doesn't matter to you. Is there any criteria to being a Black Panther?
Yes, it is. To put on the uniform and to stand on the front line for the people, you have to be African American, Black as we call it, melanated, 50-50 or something. You know what I mean? We
50-50.
Something. My daddy got to be Black. Somebody got to be Black. You got to have some Black in you somehow. And that's just to stand on the front line with us. Now, as far as the support is concerned, anybody can support us. We want a political organization for righteous people. Let's say it came down to a vote. Would we not want the white vote if it was going to go toward our agenda? If we're being smart and intelligent, do we have something to gain? So we haven't put it all together on our support base because we haven't even been able to grow a white support base at all whatsoever.
Gotcha.
The 60s, they had great funding. Now you have Black Panthers that are Black nationalists. Some all Black Panthers don't like white money. Some of them hear me saying these things and everybody doesn't agree with it. We all wake up in different stages and different levels in our lives. I'm very mature. I've been through the angry stage where I hated white people, but that's a stage that you go through. You have to get to the point to where you just look at each situation for what it is and take advantage of it with that time and that thought process. Now, are we going to be able to gain the support of white individuals? And that goes back to, we just had this conversation the other day. The Black Panthers of the 60s, they said all power to the people, meaning they were self-inclusive of all power to the people. Right now today, when Dr. Khalid took over the Black Panther Party, Dr. Khalid instituted Black Power, and it was all Black Power. It wasn't no more all power to the people because it was starting to be a more Black nationalist-based organization. So these are things that we have to visit to this very day. But we would love the support of anybody, and let's see how we can get organized with the people that we have. And that's what we would do. If you support us, we will not turn down your support, but let us figure out exactly how we are going to use this support, in which direction are we going, and what goals do we have? You know, do our ideals even line up? We have to, you know, line all those things up.
Yeah, because I think this is the only thing that I would like to add to that is we have to make sure that we don't start compromising our values just because certain people are there. No, this is what we started out. This is what the core value of this organization is, and we're going to stick to that, you know? And then you just find out where you fit in because, like you said, we want the talents and gifts of everybody. Because let's say this person has a jet, you might need it to get up out of the country for a minute. I'm just saying. And I'm not going to be able to go to Southwest to get on if they're looking for, you know, I mean, I'm not trying to break the laws or anything. Just put a pin in that. You know, I'm just saying if we need to break out
Right.
quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to need to call my friend. Hey, listen, K Bell, we need to gas up that jet, baby. I got to get to Africa real quick. They're looking for me, you know. Just kidding. But I'm just saying that, you know, being comical, but back to being serious, it is important that all of us, we work together because we all live in this country together. We got to find a way to work together. And that changes the game. Now, let's go to the flip side. Yakanan. We know what happened with the Black Panther Party. We know that they had some snitches. We know that it was infiltrated by the FBI. They had to have some of us to work with to do what they did. How do we keep the Black Panther Party from going through that again? Because as soon as they find out, they're growing, they're uniting, they're coming. You already know that.
Yeah.
That's evidenced in this country that when we unite, that scares America.
Yeah.
So when they hear that, okay, they're wrapping this thing up, they got that old Ella Johnson over there. You know, we banned her from Facebook. I don't know how many times. She's still running them out. But they're banding together now. We gotta nip this in the bud. How do we keep ourselves protected from the nonsense that happened before?
You know, I have tried to look at every situation it was. Our rise, our fall, what we did right, what we did wrong.
Right.
And spirituality comes into place. You know, I remember when crack cocaine hit the scene, you know, it was brothers out selling dope everywhere. You know, the white dudes would come in, they would sell dope to the white dudes, then they would go to jail. You know, after selling dope to the white man, everybody figured out, well, the white man is a law man, don't sell to the white man. No more quit selling to the white man. Everybody quit going to jail. Well, then what they did, they slipped the brothers in. You know, they slid the black men in there who was willing to take that money to go set these brothers up. And then next thing you know, you come outside and the brothers lined up on a tree, you know, reminding of slaves or something. They rounded them all up in one day. So when I go to the crate and I ask these same questions, I'm like, you know, it was always the number two man right next to him. You know, how do we combat these things? I would say to this day, my spirituality is very strong. You reap what you sow at the end of the day. Some people sow carnal things and reap the carnal things. I sowed spiritual things and reaped the spiritual things. I doubt very seriously to this day, agent, somebody working against us can look at me in my face. You know, the eyes are the window to the soul. And it's just something that I can see in people. It's just something that just don't sit right with me. So it's through our spirit, the spirit of the Panther, the energy that we have. We have to be able to root these people out. And anybody that we have that are troublemakers, that we think, you know, there are certain things that we know about people, there are certain things that they'll have, certain things that they won't have. And I've encountered agents, you know, so they have a certain way about themselves, you know, and I can't say it publicly what we do to identify them, but we can pretty much identify who they are.
Because I think that's key. Paris, you wanted to add?
No, I just wanted to say that, you know, I agree with that entirely. But I also know that, you know, there is in the words of famous words of Rodney King, can't we all just get along? Okay, well, I think it's important that that those who are melanin rich in this country should figure out how to get along, and then let's incorporate others who are not just sympathetic but willing to put their pound of flesh in to the movement, into the thought of improving things overall. I think that there's a litmus test that must be made. I'm sorry, you may be the best person in the world, but until I can vet you properly and be certain that you're not going to turn against me and be looking for things to destroy me, then I've got to view you with a certain degree of suspicion. And I'm going to be as open with you as I can. Because if the situation was reversed, you see, the thing is, we can't go anywhere as a rule and someone not know that you're black. What are you going to do?
I cannot take
What are you
this
going
off.
to walk in and say, well, and now we have a situation, and I'm not making light of the situation, but, you have folks that are identifying as this, identifying as that, and that's fine. I can't, as much as I want to, I can't identify as white. No one's going to take a look at me and take me seriously. But I think that we open our arms, and yes, we're asking you to help, but we want you to help in a conscious way where you think about what you're doing. I want you to be able to feel and understand what we as a people have been through. I
Yes.
think the worst thing that could ever be done to a people anywhere, in the old days, they used to have wars, then they would say, okay, you raise the land that nothing can grow there for 5 years. Okay, fine. But after 5 years, people can start to do things again, right? But you take people from the motherland, you bring them here, they have no connection to anything. There are very few of us that can go back and say, well, I can count my relatives going back 5 generations, 3 generations. Most of us can't do that. And that is the big disconnect. That's why there's no sense of self, no sense of feeling. I'm very envious of you, Ella. You can speak eloquently about being from Alabama and knowing the folks there, and having a certain lineage. But how many other blacks, the majority of us, don't feel that lineage? We don't have that lineage. We don't have that connection. So if you are disassociated, if you are an outcast, if you are someone that has nowhere to peg where you came from, hey, join an organization like this where at least the common ground, the common bond, is the bond that you have with your brother. That's it.
I
You
think you should definitely start the chapter for Florida. I am in. If there's ever a state that needs this, it's this one.
it is.
Because they're trying to take our education away from us. They want us to teach kids in school that slavery was a benefit. Yeah,
Oh
I know
yeah,
you were out there on your back all day, but look at where you are now. No, I
absolutely.
mean,
We're just rolling
Florida
in
should,
dough.
yeah,
Oh
exactly.
yeah, it was
So
really good.
if there's a state that needs it, it's definitely Florida. And whenever Paris gets that going, we want you guys to come down to Florida and let's present. Let's let them know we're here.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And,
Now
and,
you were
and
gonna say
as I
something,
said,
Yakima?
we want to be in a position where this outreach is to everyone, every well-thinking person, every fair-minded person. Okay, come on in. Understand that, you know, you can't go to B'nai B'rith, or for those of the Jewish faith, you can't go to other organizations and say, I'm going to be the king. I want to be in the top over here. No, you have to. There's a certain hierarchy, and you have to join and abide by their rules. Same thing here.
Absolutely.
You can be the
Because we have to
greatest
be
thing.
on the
You can
same
be a
page.
great support, but that's
Yeah.
it. You
Have to be on the
can't
same
be in the
page.
top echelon. Sorry.
So we have a young lady. She says, sign me up.
I know that's right. Where's she at?
Where are you, dear? Put in the comments where you are. Because I think that after this show, you should definitely reach out to Yakanan. Can you put in your number or how she can reach you?
Sure.
Maybe not your phone number, but just how she can reach you, so that you guys can solidify that. If she's in Florida, come on, let's do it. I'm excited because it's not about trying to be rebellious, but it is
No.
about trying to say we are. She is in Florida. Look at that.
Mm.
Wow.
Now I'm gonna get country for a second. What you said? Awesome. Listen. So then we'll get it going because obviously you see that we're not started yet, because Yakanan is going to definitely work with Paris so we can see what all we need to do to get it started and going. She said closer than you think. Really? Are you in Orlando? Because that's pretty close. Because that's where did I just say? Well, yeah, I'm in Orlando. So I would love to meet you, dear. Would you like to come on the broadcast? I mean, we would love to meet you and explain. And I want you to share with everybody why it is that you felt like you wanted to join. I think that's important for people to know, so that people can see. Because we obviously know that she's Caucasian, and I think that's important here on the Ella Johnson Show, that we have someone that agrees with the principles of the Black Panther Party, when so many people, even our own people, don't understand what it's about. So guess what? We're going to real quickly, because I want to make sure that we get through everything tonight. Yes. But you know what? One thing for sure, we can be here all night. Doesn't matter to me. Close, you have met me. I have. Oh, okay. Well, good. Good. I'm glad. I'm glad. Thank you. Thank you. So hit me up then so we can work together. All right. So let's get some of these facts out, because it's important for my viewers. We're going to
Yes.
talk about these facts, and then we're going to move into where we are now in this country. All right. The Black Panther Party was founded to protect Black people from police brutality. Anybody want to speak on that? Pretty self-explanatory, right? Number 2, the teachings of Malcolm X influenced the Black Panther Party. Yakanan, talk about that.
Yes. Uh, what's so interesting about Malcolm X that a lot of people don't know is his mother and father actually worked for Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey is the father of the red, black, and green flag. Marcus Garvey talked about us having our own political organization.
Absolutely.
This is where it all came from. I was thinking Malcolm was the man because I never heard about Marcus Garvey in school. I never even, heard anything about him. And so when I got into Marcus Garvey, I was like, wow, this is where, the ideas come from, so on and so forth. So, Malcolm X was a prophet. He was prolific in his thinking, the way that he saw things. They were, it spoke to your spirit. You were not the one that was saying it, but you were looking at what he was breaking down and the way he was breaking it down and taking things that were complicated and making it simple for you to be able to understand. We do have a chapter in North Carolina. But Malcolm was breaking it down. You can see me multitasking. So Malcolm was breaking it down, in a way that we could understand it. And we related to Malcolm. And Malcolm words lived on for so long and they resonate. Huey P., was into Malcolm. They listened to his speaking. Malcolm was on the corner in New York, the soapbox speaker where he would just stand up, and just give truth to the people. And anytime truth hits you, it resonates into your mind. There's a wave, that goes, like sperm travels when it hit the egg, boom, it sets off a melanated explosion. And so it's the same thing when Malcolm talked. Malcolm would send those vibrations out into the audience, and then it would hit some people's mind, and they would wake up on the spot just like that. And he raised up an entire generation, and we are all Malcolm's babies. All of us. Malcolm.
I love Malcolm X. I listen. Martin was about peace, but Malcolm, people got bit by dogs with Malcolm, and I'm scared of dogs, so I might not have been on that train, because I would have been with Malcolm saying, "No, let's shoot the dogs." You see what I'm saying? So,
Well,
I mean, I'm with you, Malcolm. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'd be like, listen, I'm with you, Martin. But I'm not fixing to stay here and let no dogs piss on me. I'm sorry.
As someone
I'm definitely
who was present
yeah,
when Malcolm spoke at the mosque in Harlem many years ago, I can tell you that um, any depiction of his ability to speak and think that you see on film is it doesn't do him justice. Let's put it that way.
wow.
And I'll say one more thing. I think that if you take a look at the movie that Spike Lee did, and the big fear in America among those who are less melanated than us is that there's a scene when they go to the jail and he is able to have them just have the entire group of men just turn and and he can direct them just with a just with a wave of his hand. That one of the things that people don't realize is that it requires great discipline, and that it's not just a question of living a life of debauchery and doing this and doing that. You have to have rules. You have to be controlled. You have to, and what happens is when we do that, folks don't necessarily want to do that. I mean, just take a look at the Native American. They'll tell you, look, you know what? They'll give me the firewater all day long if I just keep on acting the fool. Well, we don't want to do that, and I think that it's time for us to really, if we really want to be accepted, if we really want to be on a par, let's start having some respect for ourselves and let's start disciplining ourselves. Let's
Absolutely.
not be, in the forefront of look, our culture is our culture. Rap music, jazz, whatever. That's our culture. Great. That's our contribution. But it's not our only contribution. You
Absolutely.
know, let's
100.
let's start thinking about families and thinking about people having
Yeah.
integrity.
So
So
That's one
listen.
way to look at it.
I'll speak to that for a second as well. That's who we are as a people. When we cross over to be a Panther, we leave the life of degradation behind. We are disciplined people. We have integrity about ourselves. We have humility. All the kind things of the spirit that one is supposed to have. We show that example to our people. Hey, this is who we are. We
Right.
the ends and the B's behind, and our language is one of, say, brother and sister. This is how we refer to one another. It's a lifestyle change. It's a culture change. People don't even realize that the culture that we live in has been one that has been created for us. Even with the way
Right.
we wear our hair, to the least of clothes that we wear. All these things are things that were created for us. So we bring the discipline back and we inspire, meaning we put a spirit into the people, hoping that they would see us in another light. And it's illegal for us to have acts of violence towards one another. You can get put out of the organization for that. So you
Oh,
have
good.
rules, discipline,
That's correct.
and that's
That's
who
good.
that's what's attractive toward our people. Discipline is what's attractive because you can go, be messy anywhere. So this is not an organization for that, but very strict
Exactly.
structure as you're speaking of, brother.
All right. So we're gonna rush through these. If I say something you want to speak on it, just do this. So I'll stop, right? Because I want to make sure that we get these facts out.
Most definitely.
Next one, President Lyndon Johnson condemned the Black Panther Party. The Black Panther Party was considered a terrorist organization. The
Still is.
Black Panther Party has the 10-point program. We're going to go through those, but I'm going to get through this list first. They supported the Second Amendment. The Mulford Act of 1967 was passed as a response from the Black Panther Party. Talk about that one and what the Mulford Act briefly. How is it that the Black Panther Party is connected with the Mulford Act of 1967?
This is when they went into the Capitol in California.
Okay.
The Congress people were caught so far off guard they could not believe, that these brothers were able to roll up in there with guns. It could have been a massacre that went on, and they were caught so off guard that they said that this would never happen again in this state. And I think it was Ronald Reagan that may have wrote legislation
Ronald Reagan. Yeah.
to make sure that that would happen in the state of California ever again.
But y'all, listen, I want y'all to think about it. Nat Turner, when he did what he did back in the day, they made some legislature as a result of what he did. That's when they stopped allowing blacks to read. They were like, wait a minute. We let this, I'm gonna talk in my country southern voice. We let this brother go in there and learn how to read. Now he's getting them to come against us. We sent him in there to teach them how to obey us. And he went in there and taught them how to count. We're going to make sure none of them learn how to read ever again. Right? History repeats itself. All right. So let's keep going. Made the NRA support gun control laws. That's one I didn't know. That the Black Panther Party was responsible for making the NRA support gun control laws. That's deep. All right. The FBI had secret operation to take them down. They had a secret operation to take them down. You guys saw that one in the movie. They had a newspaper. The Black Panther Party had a newspaper. I didn't know that either. They established Lord, I can't even read. All right. It's schools. They established schools. They had shootouts with the LAPD. Really? Wow. Speak on it.
They had one at Texas Southern University here in Houston as well. There was shootouts all over the place. As a matter of fact, here in Houston, they actually murdered one of the Panthers by the name of Carl Hampton. They went and conspired with the pastor at the church to let church out early, went and put sharpshooters on the building of the church, got him to come out into the middle of the street, and they shot him down right there.
So why were we in a shootout with the LAPD though? I missed that part.
There's been a couple of shootouts, if I'm not mistaken. Which one would you even be talking about exactly in LA?
So like, were they trying to kill the Black Panther Party members?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they were trying to kill them. They did things like, planting dope into the buildings, coming in. And I mean, if you see a police officer, with bad intentions, I mean, you don't really want to wait too long before you start defending yourself before it's too late. They was coming with bad intentions. It wasn't peaceful at all whatsoever. It was a very hostile environment.
The Black Panther Party eventually dissolved in 1982. Dr. Huey P. Newton was shot dead. The new Black Panther Party emerged in Texas, 1989. Remains the largest revolutionary Black organization ever. That's real right there. That's awesome. Black Panther Party. More fun facts. White Panther Party supported the goals of the Black Panther Party. Chose uniforms to combat respectability politics. That's another thing I want you to speak on. Where did the uniform come from and what was that all about? And the Black Panther name. Why did we come up with Black Panther and then the Black?
Well, the Panther has always been synonymous with, freedom, fighting. The Panther has a nature. The Panther is not aggressive by nature, but it is more, it will defend itself if cornered.
What? Yes.
Yeah, so
yes.
That's the Panther was chosen. It came out of Africa. There were many cats. You've seen the Africans, the Egyptians, and the leopard skins, and so on and so forth. So the cat has a lot of history, that we don't even know about, that you can dive into. You can go down a rabbit hole about what the cat represents. With the Black, you see the judge sitting, at the head of the table in the courtroom with a black robe on. The president drives around in a black limo. Black is
okay.
When a football team plays at home and they put on all black, it's just intimidating. It's just, it just gives a different look. It's just something about it. I couldn't wear any other color but black. I don't know what it is about it, but it's just something about it. When you put it on, you're all black. You got your uniform, your gear. You just feel the part, play the part. And it's our official uniform. We all about the black. We don't even know what it's about. It's something in our spirit. that attract the black to us, but we're attracted to the black. So I don't know.
Well, I will say this for those. I did a little research about the Black Panther and its characteristics, and one of the strongest characteristics of the Black Panther, it has very good eyesight.
Mm.
That's deep. Y'all will get with that one in this hole in this church tomorrow. Y'all will get that one tomorrow. They have keen eyesight. So
Right.
when I think that goes back to Black consciousness too, and I like that. All right, let me keep going. They went international. They were led by a Black woman at one point. Look at that. That was another fact I didn't realize. Elaine Brown was her name from 1974 to 1977. Actually, Newton fled to Cuba. Remember when I was talking about that plane, that jet? Yeah, I was talking about that. Because he was trying to, I think he was up for some murder convictions and he had to get out of the country. And he went to Cuba and she took over. He actually appointed her
Yeah. And
to take over while he was out.
party was at its strongest under her leadership.
Say again?
I said the party was at its strongest point under her leadership during that time.
Really? I'm available. Appoint me, Yakanan. Bring me in the fold. Yeah, I like that. A woman. They had many famous members, Shaka Khan being one of them. She was a Black Panther. That was interesting to me. Monitored police activities. Let's talk about that. The Black Panthers monitored police activities. Why, Yakanan?
They were dealing with a lot of police brutality at the time, and they wanted to start to monitor, police to police, basically, when you go down and you file, charges with internal services and so on and so forth, you don't get any answers at all. So it's time, you have to take matters into your own hands. And these brothers protected to begin with. All men are supposed to be protected of their families first, community second, and they just, did what any man with a mind, the right heart, and who had the courage to do, whether it would be causing, life or limb, it was the right thing to do to get out of the police that, you're not going to treat brothers way. And if you want to know the truth about the matter, the first time that I ever saw any police officer in field was when I had my own weapon in my hand, and he knew that he faced the same possibility that I faced. Neither one of us may go home. And whenever you level out the playing field, police tend to change their mind, and they're a little bit nicer about how they putting them brothers in the corner, arresting them. They treat them with a lot of respect. Because they don't want to have to deal with these brothers who are over there living by the wish factor. So they become very respectable at that point.
So let me ask you a question. If Black Panthers had been out there with George Floyd, would he have died?
Hell no, he wouldn't have died that day. I guarantee that. They would have risked their own lives. It's something in us that, just
really
sit back and allow a police officer to treat our people any kind of way. And if they see us, they're not going to treat them any kind of way. They change their behavior immediately. Black Panther should be in every neighborhood. It would change the dynamics of policing across this nation.
That's deep. That's deep. That's real. Michael Brown, all these people that died at the hands of the police officers would probably be alive still. Now we have Tillman, because we want to definitely make sure we bring questions from our guests. As your new organization grows, do you have a law department within the organization that works to stay current with and up to date from a legal standpoint?
Yes. One of our posts in our organization is called the Minister of Justice and Law. And this is somebody who's going to be in the legal field. So we would like for lawyers to have a department, or people that are going to school to be lawyers. But everybody that has a zeal for law, they go into that department, and they always keep up to date on laws, informing the party about new laws that's going on, especially the gun laws that's that go on, where we can be arrested with our weapons if we don't know the laws. So it's always important for us to stay up to date on that, specifically to make sure we are following all the laws. Now, we do toe the line of the law, we just don't cross it.
Meaning you'll do stuff. What was oh my gosh, I just drew a blank. The congressman that said good trouble. What was his name? Paris, the one that said good trouble?
Good trouble in a sense, but I think that it's important. The things that you've mentioned, Jacqueline, is that um, it definitely is a deterrent when you have the possibility of a show of force. But I think that the legal department is extremely important within your organization simply because you not only have federal laws, but you also have state laws, and those state laws can differ greatly from one place to the other. And so
Right.
it is incumbent upon you and the organization to understand what will fly in a particular area, a particular locality. You need to know that. And so the fact that you're aware of it and that this is something that's being covered, uh, perhaps in calling out for assistance and for folks to contribute and work, this is an area that becomes extremely important. I think I can think of nothing more important than that because you've got to fight fire with fire. Believe me, the other side is gonna have high-powered lawyers and all kinds of people, and they're going to be extremely well funded. There's no question about that. I mean, but you have to make sure that you are, as you put it, towing the line of the law so that you don't cross it, but at the same time knowing exactly how far you can go with it to make sure that you stay within line, and that's important.
Thank you, Sherry and Pam, for letting me know. It was John Lewis, Senator. Yes, who
Yes.
said good trouble. I think Martin Luther King to an extent believed in good trouble also. Um, I do. I think near the end he realized, okay, I might have to turn over some tables to get some things done. All right, we're almost done, guys, with those monitor police activities in support of all oppressed groups. Very important. The Black Panther Party was in support of all oppressed groups, and they worked with other organizations like the National Urban League, NAACP, because they realize, it takes all of us. Free breakfast for children, which forced the government to expand its own school food programs. Now, I want y'all to pay attention to that because that's real. The Black Panther Party realized what our youth needed, the kids going to school hungry. So now they implemented this, and now the government says, okay, well, we need to do this too. And it's almost like there was some kind of intimidation there because the Black Panther Party believed in doing what the government wasn't doing. So that's one thing. They provided sickle cell anemia screenings. Didn't know that. Um, they created many community programs. They were against capitalism and they welcomed alliances with white activists. Those are my 29 facts about Black Panther. And also, 53 years later, they're still asking for the same things that the Black Panther Party once demanded. That's what we're going to start with to lead into. I know I was going to do the 10-point program, and I'm going to do that real quick, but I want to use this moment to go into where the state of America is now so that we can end our broadcast. All right, the 10-point program. This is very key for the Black Panther Party. Number one, we want freedom. We want power to determine the destiny of our Black and oppressed communities. This is for those people that want to know what the Black Panther Party is all about. Number two, we want full employment for our people. Number three, we want an end to the robbery by the capitalists of our Black and oppressed communities. Number four, we want decent housing fit for the shelter of human beings. Number five, we want decent education for our people that exposes the true nature of this decadent American society. We want education that teaches us our true history and our role in the present day society. Number six, we want completely free health care for all Black and oppressed people. Number seven, we want an immediate end to police brutality and the murder of Black people, other people of color, all oppressed people inside the United States. Number eight, we want an immediate end to all wars of aggression. Number 9, we want freedom for all Black and oppressed people now held in U.S. federal, state, county, and military prisons and jails. We want trials by jury of peers for all persons charged with so-called crimes under the laws of this country. And last but not least, number 10, we want land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, peace, and people's community control, modern technology. Those are the 10 points established by the Black Panther Party. Now, what is unsafe or terrorist about an organization that takes care of people and not just its own people, which are the principles of what we are? We stand for. That's one thing about Black people that I love. We really do care about other people. We're probably the most forgiving race ever. Because I don't know about you guys, but I grew up on that mindset. Well, I did before, you know, hit me on one cheek, I turn the other one. I literally thought they meant if somebody slaps you, just turn around and let them hit you again. I really did that. Okay. Till I realized it wasn't that literal, Ella. Okay. These people used to beat up on me all the time. Poor thing.
You'll excuse me, but in I can remember there was a time when I used to say very, very, very candidly, if you slap my cheek, please excuse me as I proceed to break your arm. You know, it's that simple. You know, but you can only do so much, and I know for a fact. I mean, it's nice we can do revisionist history here. We can go back and say, well, we could have done this or we could have done that. But yes, I remember, and I know everyone. Think about it for a second. Martin Luther King talked about peace. They killed him. Gandhi spoke about peace. They killed him. Anyone that gets up there and says, no, 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 they killed them. When Malcolm X spoke in very, very, very strong terms, everyone feared him in a sense because it was fear of the unknown. They didn't know exactly what, you know, the fruit of Islam and all of that stuff. No one knew what they were going to do. And then again, we come back to divide and conquer, right? And the outreach here is to everyone, but where is your conscience? Where is your conscience? You know, I mean, even if we sit down and say, okay, we'll spot you the first 250 years. Fine. What have you done since? What have you done for the 150 years after that? What have you done? And you've continued to do the things that were absolutely astonishing in their cruelty. And I think that if most Americans who don't share our views were to spend half the time just trying to do what's right or to find a way to make us work together, we would be much better off. But no, they spend most of their time trying to find loopholes to get around this and to get around that. And how can I do this? And how can I make it seem like I'm doing something when I'm doing nothing?
So
that's unconscionable. Yeah. But I think that there's still a lot of very well-thinking people in this country. There are a lot of good people in this country, but they're as shell-shocked as we are. They've seen so much. I mean, my children have grown up and looked at stuff on TV that 50 years ago nobody ever saw.
Right.
You never saw these things. I mean, and now it's there for all to see. And now my children, my grandchildren, they're looking at these things. And what are we doing about it? I think it's just about time that we all come together and understand. Now, I'm sure all of you have heard that there's even conversation about how we could survive a third world war, a nuclear war. Excuse me. This is absolutely crazy. And I mean, 60 years ago, people said, well, we have enough bombs that we could kill every man, woman, and child 7.5 times. Okay. But we all know once is enough. You don't have to kill them 7.5 times. Once is enough.
Right.
You know, so we need to be a little bit, we need to think about what we're saying and what we're doing. And you know what? We become so dehumanized, so desensitized that people say, well, a man was killed in Brooklyn today. And you go, hey, guys, so a guy was killed in Brooklyn. Excuse me. Were you his family? Did you feel that loss? Did you understand what it meant? That man is not going back home again. You're not going to see him again. And we continue to perpetrate this over and over and over. And we're so desensitized because, and then if you stand up and you say something is wrong, all of a sudden you're painted another way.
Yeah.
I mean, the George Floyd, wonderful. The country was moving one way and everything else. And then the whole thing, you know, was co-opted by the Me Too movement and this and that and the other. And all of a sudden we're talking about something else and we change the narrative.
Right.
We can't do that. We have to stay the course.
Right. So let's talk about, let's lead now into the conversation, Yakanan. I want you to lead this, but before we do that, we have a question. How many members are there currently in the national New Black Panther? How many? Yeah.
We don't discuss numbers.
Okay. Gotcha. You got that, Kathy? There's no discussion about the numbers. They're there and you're going to be there. How about that? So let's lead into Yakanan. Let's talk about where we are now in America. Now, this is what we're going to talk about for the rest of the night because we got to talk some real talk. Now, I did my search today on the internet and I saw here what the country is saying, the state of our country, America, where we are. They said that the biggest issue we have right now is our leadership in the government and the economy, and then immigration, and then the high cost of living. You guys see the numbers. So let's break this down, that the leadership of this country is an issue. We could go a lot of different ways on that. I want everybody to get involved. The ladies, I'm sorry. We're just talking. I want y'all have to jump in. You know that, right? Just jump in whenever you want. I want to make sure you guys are heard. So whenever you want to talk. But Yakana, let's talk about the number one that they said, poor leadership. This government and the poor leadership.
I think America really became, you know, white people really don't have leaders like that. You know, there's no need for community policing in the white community, you know, so on and so forth. We say, who's the white leader? You can't really just point to a name. But I believe America began to wake up when it got embarrassed about President Trump. I believe they started to see, wait a minute, we got a few problems here. This is who we have elected as the leader of the so-called free world. You know, he's up there talking about shining lights up under your arm for a virus and, you know, so on and so forth, using little incendios, calling people Rocket Man, unprofessional, you know, telling people to just take the police and shove them in the car and so on and so forth. And the rise of who people really are, they could finally say, well, damn, we can have our coming out party. We can just go ahead and fly with Confederate flags. You know, we can bring back the good old. And Trump basically pretty much denounced it like, hey, now that I'm back in office, let's just take things back to the way they were, you know, and he said it publicly. And he let everybody know that he is a white nationalist. When you see the problems going on with the Speaker of the House right now, Donald Trump threw the Republican Party into a tailspin. It was actually a perfect opportunity for blacks in America to begin to organize politically and take over the political arena, but because we are so asleep, we did not seize the time. And so we are just sitting back watching the show. People are not satisfied with Sleepy Joe and the things that he has said about black people. People are not even aware of how Joe Biden really truly feels about black people. Joe Biden let you know that he was the one that wrote the crime bill and happy about that. So, you know, we can't tell on all ends. So America is sitting back looking at their leadership and they can't even get their act together. You know, do they continue to go with the Democrats? You know, do they go with the Republicans? They just don't know where to go. Right now in America, it is actually time for a third party to rise up out of the nation. When you have mothers who are going to buy $100 bulletproof backpack to go to school, something needs to. And I think all of America is starting to wake up to that fact that mass shootings are on the rise. You're not safe when you go out to the grocery store, regardless of your color. Your children are not safe at school. You can easily solve that. But yet we have a Congress who will pass a law to make sure they get paid when the government is shut down and to school with the Secret Service and gated communities every day. That doesn't happen to them, so why do they care? But it seems people are starting to catch on and say, well, the leadership doesn't care about us, but we get up and continue to vote as if we are robots for this same and we're sick and tired of it. And this is where political consciousness comes in. And America seems, if they are unhappy with their leadership, they may be starting to wake up and realize they need to start bringing some younger minds in and quit going to the polls and voting for the same people over and over again like robots.
But here's the reality, though. Come November 2024, when we go to the ballot, we're either going to vote for, let's just pretend you got Trump and you got Biden. We're either going to vote for one of them or we're not going to vote at all. That's, I think, where my people are. So it's like everybody is like, it's almost like we're waiting on somebody to tell us something. We want the lesser of two evils, but that's what we did with Trump before and Hillary. And we got Trump, right? And it's like that's exactly what happened this next time with Biden and Trump, lesser of the two evils. But we're still not getting what we know we deserve to have in this country. So then what's the alternative? If you got those two on the ballot, you don't have that third person. And if it is a third person, nobody really knows who they are. So they don't probably stand a chance in hell. So then what do you do?
That's when we take a long look at ourselves. We look at what we did with Obama. We voted Obama in office, and Obama lit the White House up in rainbow colors instead of doing anything for our people at all whatsoever. It is time for us to look at ourselves in the mirror and take advantage of what we have in front of us. And we do not understand. We do not care. We for some reason, we just don't get it. I get it. We get it. Everybody doesn't get it. You want to go ahead and speak on it?
It's a very pragmatic view to look at it and say, well, the lesser of two evils, but the two evils that we get to choose between are not exactly appetizing. We understand that. But I think that, Yakiman, you're absolutely correct. It's time for us to not just say we're going to withhold our vote. It's time for us to start thinking in terms of building not just a party that is going to be concerned with some of the things that we are on the grassroots, but to start building a voice, because that voice and putting it together is going to be very important, one way or the other, no matter who wins, because it's going to be there, because nothing is really going to change, because there are certain things that are taken for granted, and certainly there's no motivation for anybody to do anything. We are taken for granted because that is exactly their argument. The argument is, who are you going to vote for? This is all you've got. So what are you going to do? Okay, so when you're put in that position, it is a pragmatic sense that tells us, okay, who do I think is worse? History. In Venezuela, there's a man named Chavez who decided that it was going to be part of a coup to take over the country. Well, they put a stop to that and they put him in jail. And he was going to be the strong man for quite a while, but they put him in jail. They let him out. He ran for president and he won. And then they couldn't get him out at all. What do you think is going to happen in November of 2024? Do you think that it was hard to get this gentleman out the last time? Do you think it's going to be easier the next time, or are we going to have to depend on who's friendly and truthful to the and faithful to the Constitution to oppose that. We say, yeah, well, no, that can't happen. Yes, it can. Everything else has happened in America. Why not that? So we really need to start thinking in terms of, okay, if neither side is to your liking, develop your own and build a coalition that of like-minded people. Get your Latinos, get your Asians, get your everyone. Okay? I think the only people that you can safely exclude from this are what I would call the wannabe whites. Okay? The wannabe whites are going to always be over there. Okay? That's it. They're going to go with that no matter what because they want to be white. It doesn't matter what the color of their skin is. It doesn't matter. Look, gentlemen, we know this for a fact. We have folks from, I'm sorry, and I'm not insulting them, but we have folks in the Dominican Republic and other places that are darker than I am, and they will tell you that they're white. Okay, so I mean, this is a fact of life. These are wannabe whites, and when you put it right down to it, they're not going to come over and listen to you or listen to your reason or what you're thinking or what you're saying. They're going to say, "I want to be white," because white has privilege.
But I still don't think I heard an answer here, guys, because people are going to want some real direction when it comes to election time.
Correct.
We may not have that third person on there yet. That takes time. You got to campaign. You got to get people to know who you are. Okay, well, you're on this ticket, but what have you done? What changes have you made? What advances have you created? And besides, it's the state. All of these states is where we really need to be represented, because when it gets to Congress, that's where we really, because the president can make all these promises that he wants, but at the end of the day, he has to work with Congress to get things done.
Correct.
So I still want people to be clear when they watch this broadcast. Okay, well, if we don't like Trump, we don't like Biden, we got to vote for one of them.
Right.
Who do we vote for?
In 2024, we are not mobilized to have any effect on the presidential race. We have to be 100% honest. That is a foregone conclusion. Trump will probably be elected as president again. And if the Simpsons cartoon is right, maybe he's going to be shot. I don't know. But Simpsons been pretty good lately.
But what if he's convicted? If he's convicted, he can't be president, right?
I don't think they're going to ever convict him.
Okay, if you think Trump is going to get convicted on this broadcast right now, raise your hand.
I think it's going to be at least one Trump supporter on every jury, and I don't think the man is going to be convicted at all. I think it's.
Did you say one? Did you say one?
At least one.
How about maybe 4 or 5?
He just need one, though.
So am I the only one who thinks he's going to get convicted?
I think so.
Wow.
I think that even if he is convicted, there is such a thing as an appeal, right?
Yes.
And that appeal could go on for years. For years. And that is the sad part. I'm not against the due process of law. I believe in law. I think that we've been dragging our feet in using it. But the truth of the matter is that what has happened to the American justice system, both from the ground up all the way up to the Supreme Court, is a travesty on America. Anyone who has believed in this country and its laws and its history has got to be shaking his head right now and saying, I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. You stack the courts, you stack this, and and that's why I understand exactly what you're saying, gentlemen. But you're right, and I think, Ella, you're absolutely right in sounding the alarm, because we don't have enough time to get a movement going and get someone that's going to be able to present themselves to all the people. You're not going to be able to have that. So you have to decide who's going to harm us more.
Yeah. we agree that Biden is not what we thought, right? We
Right.
can all agree with that. It has nothing to do
Right.
with age. It just has to do with integrity. He's not who we thought. But at the same, if we don't vote, then we're definitely putting Trump in there. But if we do at least vote and say, okay, look, we don't believe in you, and I don't believe in that ticket. I'm just gonna say it. It's just something's missing. And I don't believe in just voting because somebody tell me that's who I need to vote for. But we have to make an effort to say we have to figure this out, because come November 2024, this country is going to make a very important decision. And if we put him back in the White House, and I want to bring up with Alex, because Alex was supposed to be on our show tonight, but he had some technical difficulties. But I want to bring up his comment. He said, we're more worried about the person that has our attention for 8 years, but not the individuals making moves behind our backs for decades. Let's speak on it.
One thing I wanted to say to answer your question, though, because we were talking about what we're gonna do. I think we're at the point to where we have to start with small steps, and you have to practice doing what you're doing. You go to practice, then you play the game. You know, you don't just get out there and play the game. We don't know how to organize as a people behind a certain ideology, so we would have to start on a very small role. You know, once we start on that small role, you know, doing it in small public offices, we begin to step our game up. And we begin to step our game up. We take on more power, more control, change this, change that. But that's where we start on the small level organizing. So that was the answer to that question. Now we can go swing it back to what Alex had said. Want to bring that question up again?
What, Alex's question?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's bring Alex's question. He said, we are more worried about the person that has our attention for 8 years, but not the individuals making moves behind our backs for decades.
True.
Yeah. I want to bring up what Pam says. She says, no, we can't all agree that Biden isn't what we thought. What can we give more? And she says, why do people say that he is doing a bad job? What is the basis?
I mean,
Anybody want to add to that?
Yeah.
Congress is where the power is. Exactly.
What has he done for us? You know, are there any laws that have been passed? If anything is ever done on the behalf of blacks, it's always a act that's put forth. You know, acts signed every 7 years. There's never anything that's put into a law. Look at the way the Haitians are treated when they came over to the border versus the way the Mexicans are treated, you know, coming over across the border. Look at the things that Biden has said about black people, you know, integrating the school and, you know, it would be like roaches and there'll be an infestation and so on and so forth. Judge Joe Brown brought up some comments that he said, you know, when he saw Biden say some things in a speech, you know, Biden making the comment about, you know, if you ain't, you know, if you don't vote for me, you're not black and so forth. You know, Biden, any of the presidents that have come along, you have to look at their track record, not what they say, but what have they done. And at the end of the day, they haven't done anything for us at all, but the same system that has been put in place has continued to this very day.
Right, because they're all looking at the same rule book.
Mhm.
Now, Truth to Power War Room, we're gonna he's just stuck a pin in this. He or she said black people must prepare for whomever is president. There has never been a president who cared about our story.
Absolutely.
And there never has been, and they won't be anytime soon. Never has been.
There it is.
That's
I
right.
wish I could play my soundtrack because he said that. All right, so Pam, let's see here what she says. She says, we base a presidency on what they do for people of color. So student loan forgiveness is nothing. HBCU support, nothing. Paris?
Well, I think that HB, all of these things are important, but I think that, you know, sometimes you have to win the battles that you can. And I think this is more in line with being pragmatic. And I think we all agree that no one has ever gained the presidency of the United States and felt our pain, felt the struggle, and been faithful to it.
Right.
We've always been the casualty. You can say whatever you want, but once the votes are in and they're secure where they are, then but you need to understand too that it depends on where you are in history. People can look back now and say, well, Kennedy didn't mean to do anything. He wasn't going to do anything for blacks. And yeah, we can understand that, we had the March on Washington. He was conveniently out of town and so forth and so on. Yeah, we can say that. We can go back and look at it. But it was more than that. It was the fact that the words were said and the thoughts were held. You came to feel differently. There was a different feeling. You had the hope. You believe. I mean, there's some of us that are running around today who are completely aghast at trying to understand why are we still talking about the things that we were talking about in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, and the goalpost just keeps changing. Why are we doing that? So I agree. You can look at the presidency. You look at Kennedy. You can look, and you can tell all of these people that were just giving us lip service. That's great. But in terms of substance, no, it wasn't there. And there's never going to be that. And you know why? We're not in the majority.
So let's move from this one so we can take this next point. But I think that it's important to just stick a pin in this and say, yes, Biden, if he is there again and it's him and Trump, I know my vote is definitely going to be with Biden. I'm not going to not vote. So that's where we are with that. Now, DeJuan Williams said this, and I want everybody's opinion on this one. He said, yes, a sitting president can be incarcerated. This country allows a felon to be president, but citizens who are felons can't vote. Make that make sense. He's right. He's right. Because the felons, I know in Florida, that was a big deal. Paris, I don't know if you remember, where somebody with a lot of money came and paid for all these felons' fees so they could vote or something like that. But we have a president who has been convicted of some things. I mean, he was convicted of rape, right? It was a sexual assault.
Right.
He's on the ballot. DeJuan says, make that make sense. Can anyone on this panel make sense of what's going on in our country when it comes to us watching a felon every single day on news and getting people to vote for him? And he's winning. He's winning. Let's just be 100. He is winning in the polls.
Absolutely.
What does that say about our country that I know that say that, and we applaud it. But we're so careful about taking books out of the schools because we don't want our kids reading vulgar stuff. But you got a man running for president who is vulgar as ever, curses, thinks it's funny. He's a great comedian. I give him that. He should be a comedian instead of president. I'd probably go to his show then, right? Because he is funny.
He is funny.
But at the same time, we have to keep it real. And what we're allowing, it's like the integrity gone, respect gone.
But you see, you still have people in this country. You have people that are running around and telling you that the last election was stolen and this and that and the other. Okay, so that's because that becomes part of the media, becomes part of the message. But if you were black in this country anywhere within the last 50 years or so, there was stuff that was wrong with the media back then. There's always been stuff that was wrong with the media, only it didn't affect the people that wanted a different outcome. Okay, so you have a situation where you have what they call the liberal media, and now you have the conservative media, and so forth and so on, and so now they clash. But there've always been excesses, and they've always done things that were totally wrong, that didn't make any kind of sense. Take a look at the war in Vietnam. I mean, every day they would go on the news and tell you that they killed so many Vietnamese, and we lost about 3 people while we were doing all of this. And it didn't take people long to realize that if you added up all the casualties that we had, that the Vietnamese supposedly had, we had killed the population of Vietnam 2.5 times over. And so people started asking questions. And yet at the same time, we knew for a fact that most of the people that were coming back in body bags from Vietnam were named Ortiz and Jones, and they were from Alabama, and there were people of color. And somehow, you know, everyone was right. It was okay to go ahead and run up to Canada and do other things. And if, by the way, if you were in college, you didn't have to worry about that. And of course, we couldn't be in college, so we had to get a gun. But the point is that there's always been something wrong with the news. The news has always lied. You've always had situations that were wrong. But now it becomes a glaring fact that now people just decide which news they want to watch, which news they want to believe. And so they believe in their alternative facts. I can't say for sure that they're wrong. I can't say that they're not right. But I know that we better put the rules together and get things clear so that both sides agree what is going to be the truth. Because if not, everyone will be crying foul, no matter which way it goes next November, in November 2024. Doesn't matter.
I like what Pam said here. She says, I don't want people of color to be treated better, just fairly. How many people agree with that?
I mean, we are not treated fairly. You know, regardless of who is president, it's not going to stop what's going on in the streets that we see every day. Police still certain Barack Obama is in there. If you go vote for Joe Biden, I'm gonna still pull up, you know, in the hood, and the police still gonna be doing the same things that they have always done to us. It is systemic what goes on with us. You know, Hillary Clinton would parade around Mike Brown's mother and Trayvon's Martin mother, you know, and so on and so forth. And it would make me sick to my stomach because it would be election time. And I know that she doesn't care about these people because after the election is over and she's gotten a black vote, she gonna go get into her limo. She gonna go drive to her fancy house, and she ain't gonna care what's going on with.
But don't all of them do that? That's a strategy.
The last one of them. That's what I'm saying.
They go to our churches and we let them in.
And we let them in
because they may have promised us something in the collection plate. We let it in. So I mean, they play the game that we allow them to play.
Yeah. So the HBCUs, the contributions that have been made, the small things that have been done, yeah, there have always been small tokens, you know, that have been given to us. But all of these things are small tokens. Let's look at what's going on with the whole of us. Why? I mean, and the border is even a big issue with us as well. I used to have a father-in-law who had a concrete business, walked around with thousands of dollars in his pocket at a time. He just for spending change. He came home one day and said, we'll never work again in this city because illegal immigrants are being allowed to come in and work for cheap labor and take a job. You know, there are things that are not being addressed by these people that are you know, we at the bottom fighting. When you go into businesses, it's white on top and color at the bottom. Nothing has changed. You know, until the financial situation changes, and it's all about money. It was, you know, in the Bible, it was said, I think Solomon said, the best money answereth all things. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, this is about finances. This is about the prison industrial system that continues to roll on today. This is about slavery at the end of the day. We may not be sitting on plantations to this day, but when we get up and go to work in the morning, all of us still
plantation.
Going to the plantation. We understand it hits us deep, it hits us hard when we wake up and deal with our reality every day. We know that we have to go out here and serve people every day and then turn around and pay them every dollar that we go back and make. And this is a problem with us. We need our own. We want our own land. How is it that we want to live our lives as a people? You know, do I want to continue to live in a world to where I cut on YouTube and I see the dog text? And I see the black children pointing to the white doll saying the white doll is the pretty doll and the black doll is the ugly doll. And the white doll is the smart doll and the black doll is the ugly doll. Do we understand what this does when that takes shape and that in our children's minds, and it go unchecked, and then they become adults, and now they can't get along in their relationships because they don't even realize that they hate themselves. They hate their family members. They can't get along with their friends and family. If they get into an argument, they quick to have emotionalism, quick to murder someone else instead of work things out and know how to deal with things constructively. If it was rape, you would say, hey, they need counseling. They need to see somebody. Their mind is messed up. You think anybody has put money down for us to see counseling, to help guide us? The constant trauma that we see every day from the videos coming out, we have been desensitized to it. But we have asked these police officers, hey, wear body cams, wear dash cams, do this, do that. These people are so bold that they do it with the cameras on.
Yeah, what?
With the in the jails every day. This is the life that we live in, and it's gonna happen again. A long time ago, we were headed somewhere, and they murdered Martin Luther King at the time when he had just flipped. He had gotten it right. He had waken up out of his sleep. Said, "Hey, we coming for our check." Consciousness. We waking up. We want land. We want money. Y'all did all these things for these people, and they murdered him in that moment, and then froze that image and gave that image to the world. And this is what we live by right now.
Yeah, he had a dream, and he woke up. He woke up too late.
Yeah, he did. He did wake up, and then again, now to speak to what you're saying, I think it's time for us to stop putting aside things that you're not talking down to anybody, but I mean, you think that folks would realize that there's absolutely no benefit to you yourself or to your community if you have a degree in twerking, and it doesn't do you or your people any good to do that. And if you're thinking in terms of, well, the biggest thing that you can think of is somebody to take you to Dubai for a weekend, there's something wrong in your thinking. And if you're thinking that, as a man, that you can let this thing go by, that you can just not take a stand, not stand united with your people, and to still continue to do things like this, when are we all going to wake up? See, the thing is, every one of us wakes up at one point or another. We all wake up. But it's time for us to all wake up together. We need to be able to do it together.
I like Mr. Campbell's comment. He says we have to fix our problems at home first.
Yes, indeed.
Now let's speak on that, because that's the part that's the hard pill to swallow. Nobody wants to address that part because the Caucasians see it, and that's one of the reasons we're not taking it seriously as maybe the people back during Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, the way they were respected because they were envied, but they were a little more respected because look at how they dress. They had their own schools, they had their own hospitals, their own planes, everything, banks, you name it. So white people became very intimidated. And I'm saying this for the people that don't understand what happened in Tulsa, Black Wall Street, how white people took that down. It wasn't because we were sitting around twerking. These people had businesses.
That is
correct.
They
didn't go to white people for anything because they had their own money. And see, you guys, white people try to say that's what we want you to do. No, you don't really want to see us come together. You're not bossing like that, because when we decide I'm not cleaning your floors anymore, I got my own business now. I got my own cleaning business. Now, if you want me, you hire my company. Okay. When we start doing that, they're not ready for that. But they know it's not going to happen because of the seed they planted way early. House nigga, field nigga. What do you think they were doing? They were separating us so that we can see that, okay, well, you're not like the other blacks. I had somebody say that to me one day. And I said, what? I was just, I was eating. And I think I choked on that chicken. I was like, what do you mean? Because at the end of the day, I am black. I don't want to be anything but black. I was born black. I'm going to die black. And don't get it twisted. I stand for black cause. So what do you mean I'm not like the other blacks? What, because I don't speak slang? I do speak slang. I just do it at the right time.
That's correct. Where it's appropriate.
What? I'm ashy, right? I may have all this beautiful makeup on, but I guarantee I'm ashy somewhere. So not saying that black people are ashy. I'm just
I
being
know.
funny, guys. I don't want anybody to get offended. But what I'm saying is that what we do is a direct reflection of the race, it seems. If I go out here and do something, oh, now all black people are crazy. If I go out here and do something good, no, they're not going to say anything about that. So what do we do, Yakanan? What do we do as parents, grandparents that are watching this broadcast? Because this is going to be very key. So we can check our own homes first before we go out here in the streets trying to change somebody else's.
Yeah. We must first have a revolution in our own minds. We must come to an understanding that we are speaking another people's language. We are serving other people's gods. We have had a culture that has been created for us. The violence towards one another, the disrespect towards one another. We have to understand that this is not who we were made to be as a people. We have to read, we have to take in information for ourselves. Once we begin to understand that and we change our own mind state first, and we understand who we are naturally as God, peaceful people, then we can go out and begin to affect the lives of others and help people and pull them up in the communities. If you are screwed up and you are deceiving yourself about who you are, all you're doing is spreading that nonsense. It's like a cancer. First, cut that cancer out of your own mind. Right, check with your friends, question, girl, am I crazy? Yeah, you crazy. And be able to, some correctness from each other, because we all screwed up in a certain way, but we are moving forward to get better each day as we go on. And
Right.
become whole and healed and healthy enough to go out into the community to start doing better, then that's when we should go out into the community. But not until then, because we are not prepared until that moment comes. And that's where it starts.
I think
And have a
so.
better sense of self. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. Have a better sense of self. When Ella, you asked the question, what do we, the parents, the grandparents, what do we do? Well, when you see
Right.
a 2-year-old that's twerking, don't laugh. It's not funny.
Say it. Say
It's
that.
just not funny.
Oh my goodness.
It looks cute.
Oh,
Oh, when they come out and say something. I mean, you look at all the TikToks and the this and the that, and you hear kids saying certain things that would have left me completely toothless when I was a boy.
what?
And we look at these things and we think that it's cute, and they're laughing at it and making it seem like it's okay. And guess what? Kids learn very early that they can play to the crowd, and that they're getting little things for it, and people are approving of what they're doing. No, you don't need to do that. There's something greater at stake: your own self-respect.
So guys, as we bring the night to a close, I want to make sure that we touch on some of this stuff. Because environment, pollution, and all that stuff, homelessness is a
Mhm.
big one, which is tied into the economy. How do we prepare for this? And is the because Alex made a very good point. He said voting for a president is not going to change it. That's not going to make the difference. What is going to make the difference so we can flip the script on this thing? Because I think that the quickest way for us to get over the hump is we have to work together. I think that's really the only way. Nobody's going to do it for us. We can't keep complaining about what they're not going to do for us, because it was never designed for them to do it for us from
Right.
day one. We're not part of that Constitution, the Declaration. They weren't talking about us. We were still property when they wrote the Declaration. And a lot of people don't realize there were 2 Declaration of Independences, guys. They included us in the first one, but that first
Mhm.
one never saw a light of day because nobody had the
Mhm.
courage to get rid of slavery at that time. They were like, "No, nah, you better not put that in there. That might hurt us if we try to help Negroes. So
Mhm.
we don't want to do that, you know." So let's be real about this country, which leads me back to what Alex said, because this is it. And I love Alex because he's so deep, but I really want to read this. It's a pretty long comment, but this is real. Can we just be honest? The United States was built on the backs of enslaved Africans after they destroyed original owners of this land, the natives. The laws were written to protect the European and to oppress everyone else. The country has always been corrupt. Brother Martin said it best. We are in a burning building. It's going to take much more than just voting to fix this nation. Do we all agree with that?
100% correct, brother.
But do you notice that a funny thing happens to every group that comes to this country and stands united? They prosper. They
Except
prosper.
blacks.
Every
Except
group that comes to this country and stands united, they prosper. We have to learn that trick, and we have to
Well, then
really
why didn't they
believe in it.
destroy the Asian community when they start prospering? When they had their Wall Street, so to speak, they didn't
Mhm.
destroy them. They don't destroy white communities. But when black people come together, you know why? Because they're afraid of us. They know that if we ever unite, they will never be able to control us again.
Absolutely.
And that's real.
Absolutely.
And they've done everything in this country, everything that's been implemented in this country was to divide. And they knew exactly what they were doing. And what makes me angry is that we allowed it. We did. We allowed it. We could have said no. We could have said, no, we're good. I'm not gonna get on TV and degrade my people just for that money. No, I'm sorry. We'll create our show where women can be positive and it'll be a successful show. No,
Mhm.
because seeing how black women come for each other, that's a whole different topic. But is there anything else, guys, that you think in the state of America that needs to be addressed in our community when it comes to homelessness? How do we overcome that, Yakanan, Brother Watt, and Paris? How do we overcome that? And then we're going to start wrapping up so we can get out of here. Because that's an issue. Rents are higher. Wages are not going anywhere. In fact, they're going down. What's going on?
Financial literacy is a important tool in our community that is not being used. All the death we're surrounded by should be, we should be prospering just by the death and the life insurance, that we collect alone. Police should fear, killing us because they know we are prospering so much. Ida B. Wells became famous because she wrote about black men being hung in suits. So they don't care about us existing as long as we're servants. They just don't, as long as we're serving them, they just don't want us prospering on our own. You know, the Tulsas are a problem. We have examples. What did we learn? What we learned was that when we do become financially literate and we come together, can we now defend it? We operate on the 3Ds in the Panther Party. It's define it first, develop it, then defend it. And that's what our mistakes said. We've shown we can prosper, but now when we prosper, will we be able to defend what we prosper now?
Ooh, that's good. I got to put that in. Define. Say that again.
Define,
Develop
and defend.
and defend.
The 3Ds of the new Black Panther Party. We know what we're doing. We just need to put the system in place and be ready when it goes to jump off.
Wow.
We have always, been moving and going somewhere in this country. There are times that when we stop and pause and we be still, but during the 60s, we were headed somewhere. We knew something was wrong. When somebody is murdered, we know something is wrong and quicken something in us. We haven't been able to gain that momentum in order to keep going forward in a direction. We don't have any leaders right now that have stepped forward. All of our leaders have been. But our time is coming where another leader will be raised up in our day and time, and we will start moving again, and we'll be prepared. And have we learned from all the mistakes of the past, the things that have stopped us? And as I said, as one of my sayings, one bullet takes away the hearts of millions, and we have to learn to protect our leaders when we see them.
Amen. I like what Alex says. He's kind of bringing it to a close for us. Education reform, financial literacy, community investment, gatekeeping of our culture, promotion of healthcare, and self accountability. He just wrapped the show up right there.
Good points,
I
brother.
owe you for
Yeah,
that one, Al.
absolutely.
That's good. Gatekeeping of our culture.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one especially. Why is it so important, team, to gatekeep our culture? Because we can allow people in, and I don't know why, but people like to join us and try to tell us how we should be, but they don't go over here to this particular people and try to tell them, well, y'all shouldn't do it like this. You should do it more like that. But when it comes to us, we need to change. Like, or not that. You take like what's his name? The football player that with the afro, Kaepernick.
Kaepernick,
Mm-hmm.
He started out, it was about police brutality, right?
right.
Oh, I just don't like the way they're doing the black people. It's not cool how they're doing. And before you know it, we're fighting for him to keep his job. How did we allow the narrative to be changed? That wasn't our fight. Brother, listen, you're a casualty of the war. You know how many
That's
people have been
correct.
killed fighting for this same war? You lost a job. We gotta you gotta take one for the team. That's what happens. But we don't need to ever change our narrative for nobody. And I think that's why we're like this. Because sometimes we start out one way and we by the time we get to the end, it's like, well, wait a minute, what happened back in lane 2? Oh, well, we switched up and we let this person stand in front. But he doesn't understand our culture. He doesn't understand our values. Why didn't we stay in front? Well, we had to put them up front so we can get some attention. Then we missed it. We missed it. Because if we can't do it with our own face and our own voice and our own culture, then we've already lost. That's what I think. Well, guys, we are definitely going to end. We're getting ready to end our. Listen, I hate to even say that. Like, I've had so much fun tonight. Like, I'm not ready to go. Y'all remember the saying in the clubs, and don't act like y'all ain't never been in them. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here. I know I'm talking to the right crowd. You guys have heard that. I'm not the only one that was dropping it like it was hot. All right. They take who we are, cut it up, repackage it, and sell it at a premium price. Then we're left with nothing. That's exactly what I was saying. He said it in very simple. But guys, what else do you guys want to add before we get out of here? Because I'm so excited that we had the new Black Panther Party. Now, listen, this is a conversation that we have to continue. And I hope that you guys will come back because we got to really, I don't want to end the show and say, okay, well, we just talked about it again. No, I want the next time we come together, hey guys, we got this organization going now. If you're in Florida, join up for the new Black Panther Party. Hey, listen, if your family is in need, we have this organization. We can hook you up with the people that can help.
That is correct.
Financial literacy is very key because we go to work every day, we make that money, and then we don't have a clue about what to do with it. We read these programs that are on the incentive that your company has, and you're like, well, what do I invest in? I don't even know which one to do. Financial literacy is important.
Correct.
So if the new Black Panther Party is bringing that to the game, this is the best ticket in town as far as I'm concerned. Because I guarantee you the next president that comes across the stage should come from this party. If we do all this stuff and we understand what's needed, then we're going to be putting people in office at state level so that when they get in the White House, now we got them too, because we can put all the presidents in office all we want. Oh yeah, way to go. But at the end of the day, he can't do anything until the Congress votes on it. So that's where we need to focus. That's just my 2 cents. But I asked you guys for yours and then I kept talking. Brother Watt, take us home. What do you have for us before we get out of here? I want everybody to have some say-so before we go.
Well, I first want to just say thank you again for having us. We love platforms like this where we can get on and speak our mind, tell our truth, and speak about the things that we are doing. And as a party, we are doing a lot in our community for our people. Block parties, feeding. The WIC programmers were stolen from the Black Panther Party. And it is still alive to this day. But we're out there doing things for our people. So again, just thank you for having us. Thank you for the platform, and we'll definitely come back whenever we are invited to be a part. Thank you again.
Awesome. All right, Paris.
I think that this has been a wonderful experience. It's been very excited to get the juices flowing. But I think it highlights the need for grassroots contributions from our communities. It highlights why we need to band together from the very, 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 very smallest all the way through. We can't hit the top if we're kind of shaky on the bottom. And so organizations like yours become extremely important. Why?
Yes.
Because we're too weak by ourselves. But united, you know what? We don't have to move very hard anymore, because now you have your own brother, your own sister right there with you, and it's not going to be that easy. You know, we have phones, we have cell phones, we have cameras, we have videos, we have all of these things. Let's keep in touch, folks. We can do that. We know that we can do all these wonderful things, but let's start at the grassroots. And an organization like yours proves plenty of room, but more important, plenty of need for what you're doing. So
So
please keep
Paris,
up the good work, and let's see how we can build this. That's what we need to do.
so Paris, you know that we were looking to do something here in Florida. There it
Absolutely.
is, right? So here,
Absolutely.
Yakanan and Paris, please stay in touch, because I do believe in you, Paris, and I believe that if there's anyone that can represent Florida, I would be right there. We'll talk about it. We'll bring it on the show as much as we need to. We'll get out on the streets, go live, recruit, and let people know what the Black Panther Party, the new Black Panther Party, is all about. Because we are doing good things, and that needs to be the highlight. Not all the stuff that you think it is. They don't really want people to know the truth. But shows like this, we can put out the truth, what the Black Panther
Absolutely.
Party is all about. When you guys do something, I would love to be live at one of your events where you're, I mean, I'm not going to put on the beret and everything because I'm scared of guns. So you don't want to put me up there. I'm telling you right now, everybody will get to you if you put me up there. I'm like, where's Yakina? Oh, there you go right there. Right? So you might want to keep me in the kitchen or somewhere, keep me behind the mic. All right, Yakina, we want you to talk to us about, bring us home tonight for the new Black Panther Party, the state of America, and address the people so that we can get out of here.
All right. We are not about talk, we are about action. If we accomplish waking up the mind of one, being able to start a chapter, we have done our due diligence. I can guarantee there are people in the state of Florida that need assistance, from the Panthers. If you're a Panther, it's in your spirit to be a helpmate, to be able to get up, go to work, do what you do, and still go out into the community and help those who don't have the strength or the power or the know-how to help themselves. This is about normal, ordinary people, doctors, nurses, psychologists, lawyers. Come and dedicate your time to the people. This is what made the Black Panther Party so strong. It wasn't about money. It was about the most valuable asset that you have. And it was all about your time. If you are willing to dedicate your time to a people who are in need of your services, please come to the new Black Panther Party. Dedicate your time to the people. You will be treated with a great deal of respect and honor. You will be our brother, our sister for a lifetime. We will be teaching political education classes. If you are in the financial department and you want to come lend your time to begin to teach finances to our people, whatever skill you have to offer, if you're in the healthcare department and you want to start visiting our elderly or people who are in need and giving them diagnosis, because there's even racism that we deal with in the healthcare department. We know that come along with that as well. So we need help along all fronts and all lines. And we ask the people to come forward, dedicate your time, your energy, and your purpose, and understand that we are a political organization and this is by any means necessary. Some people may say, hey, this is not about voting. Voting is not the end all to everything, but it is a part and a piece of the pie of what we need to
That is correct.
take control and power. And as a people, we have to understand our greatness, that we don't just come from slavery. We are great people. We governed ourselves at one time, and we need to let go of the fear of not being able to govern ourselves. and make up our mind and decisions on what we're going to look like and what our future is going to look like. And this is what I'm going to leave it on. If your decisions of today shape your future of tomorrow, then when people hate you, make decisions for you, what will your future look like?
Deep. And on that note, guys, listen, I told you that we had some fabulous guests for this week. I told y'all the revival is real. And if you have been missing out, you need to go back and watch all the shows because we've had real talk, true stories, domestic violence, sex trafficking stories. And then tomorrow night here on the Ella Johnson Show, we have more true stories. I have Ellis Wilson. This is a young lady who, unsuspecting friend comes in the house. She goes to sit down and thinks nothing of it. And she looks back and she hears, he shoots her until he shoots off her hand. She's going to be here on the Ella Johnson Show tomorrow night, sharing her story. And listen, a fighter, she's had, I don't know how many surgeries, but she's going to be here to share her truth because we're hurting and this is the place to get a healing. And then on Friday night to end this week, domestic violence, silence kills. There are so many people out there that we know are suffering in silence. It happened to my family, and that's why this has become a very important show for me, domestic violence, because you never know someone that you may be working with every single day, you go to church with every single Sunday, and they go home and are beaten, and you would never know because their scars are hidden. So we want to appeal to them to get out before it's too late. That's what the Ella Johnson Show is all about. So guys, listen, we have 2 more nights, but it's been real. I have had a great time. Thank you all so much for being my guest tonight. But we'll be right back here. I know we went a little longer tonight, but you know, it is what it is. We went in the club and didn't worry about getting out early, right? Now that we got to do something for ourselves. Maybe it was just me. Maybe it was me there until the janitors came in. I don't know. But guys, listen, we're going to get out of here. We'll see you tomorrow night right here on the Ella Johnson Show, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Central. We'll see you next time. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. We'll see you next time.
We are supporters of the Ella Johnson Show. We live in South Korea. We have been watching Ella Johnson Show for like a year now. And we love her show. Her show is very inspirational, motivational, and educational.
If you would like to be a guest on the Ella Johnson Show, send an email to theellajohnsonshow@gmail.com or send a text message to 407-334-6997.